The next afternoon, Julian sent Liam a text before his flight. Liam had planned to cook a special dinner, but the temperature in Chicago had dropped sharply overnight. A light flurry began to fall around dusk. As night settled, the snow grew heavier. It was the season's first snowfall. Julian warned that his flight might be delayed. He told Liam not to wait up for him. So Liam decided against cooking a large meal. He still went home early from the studio. Liam had been working on a commissioned watercolor series. The sudden break from painting felt strange. He took out his brushes and fresh paper. He decided to paint a few pieces for their apartment. The decor felt a little stark and minimalist. Their wedding photo was the only thing on the walls. Outside, the wind howled and snow swirled. Flakes hit the glass and melted into rivulets. The living room was empty when Julian entered. He slipped off his shoes and put on house slippers. He quietly wheeled his suitcase inside. The door to the study was slightly ajar. A warm light spilled from the narrow opening. Julian left his luggage and walked toward the room. He knocked gently on the doorframe. A moment later, he heard Liam's low voice. Liam invited him to come in. Julian pushed the door open. Liam sat at his desk holding a fine-tipped brush. A piece of watercolor paper was spread before him. It showed a painting of delicate, pale colors. Liam did not move from his chair. The heat was on, so he wore a thin cotton shirt. Liam seemed lost in thought. He spoke slowly, his focus still on the paper. He explained that he was almost finished. He just needed to add the final touches. Okay. Julian walked closer to the desk. He asked if this was for the commission. Liam confirmed it was not. He explained the commission piece was already done. He wanted to paint some new art for their home. Liam's gaze was fixed on his work. His hand moved gracefully, blending colors on the paper. The wind outside was a persistent, low whistle. Snow pattered against the window in a soft rhythm. Finished. Liam set his brush down carefully. He looked up at Julian, his eyes shimmering. He stated that it was snowing outside. Yes, the first snow. They had only been apart for 4 days. Everything felt exactly the same. Julian looked down, meeting his gaze. Just last night, Liam had texted him. He had said he missed him. Perhaps that simple admission had captivated Julian. Or maybe it was how mesmerizing Liam looked while painting. Julian's longing had traveled all the way from Austin. It had followed him to Chicago to this very moment. Julian rested one hand on the back of Liam's chair. He suddenly leaned down and kissed him. Liam's lips were much warmer than his. They trembled slightly under the pressure. His eyes widened in surprise. Liam's hands gripped the edge of the desk. He thought it would be a brief kiss, like the one they shared for their wedding photos. But then Julian's lips moved against his. He deepened the kiss without any. Liam froze for a fraction of a second. Julian's hand moved to the back of his neck. He pulled him closer with gentle force. It was Liam's first truly passionate kiss. Julian's lips were cold from the winter air, but the kiss itself was incredibly warm. Julian was always so elegant and composed, yet this kiss was filled with surprising strength. Liam felt the firm pressure on his neck. His lips began to feel tender. Julian's breathing was quick and uneven. A wave of heat washed over Liam. His heart hammered against his ribs. He was really kissing Julian. He never knew kissing someone could feel so overwhelming. Julian's hand slid from his neck. He traced a slow path to the back of his ear. Liam's ear felt intensely hot. Julian's fingers gently pinched his earlobe. The pressure of Julian's hand lessened slightly, but his mouth remained firmly on Liam's. The kiss became almost rough in its intensity. Liam let out a soft, involuntary sound. Julian seemed to snap back to reality. He pulled away from Liam's lips. He realized he had acted on impulse. He had not given Liam any time to think. Liam's lips were swollen from the kiss. They looked flushed and full. His mouth was naturally softer than Julian's. The kiss had been an incredibly soft sensation. Julian's breathing was still heavy. His hand rested on the side of Liam's neck. He looked down at him with a hoarse voice. He apologized for not asking for permission first. It was the first time Liam saw Julian look flustered. He also noticed Julian's throat move several times. Julian seemed unusually agitated. Liam had enjoyed the kiss very much. He also liked Julian's unexpected dominance. He had never experienced such a possessive kiss. It was an entirely new sensation for him. Liam had always thought of Julian as pure, but he was also deeply passionate. He had shown Liam raw strength and desire. Liam did not know how to respond to the apology. He did not want to respond at all. He almost asked if Julian could kiss him again, but Julian had already let him go. Liam remained silent for a long moment. Julian hesitated. He asked if Liam was angry with him. Liam felt dazed from the kiss. He thought it was an absurd question. Julian was also feeling a bit dazed. He had initiated and controlled the entire encounter. Liam had been passive, caught by surprise. It seemed he hadn't truly reciprocated the kiss. No. Liam looked down and started cleaning his brushes. He asked Julian if he was feeling all right. Julian looked at him with a confused expression. Liam stood up from his chair. He gently placed his hand on Julian's forehead. He had felt how hot Julian's skin was during the kiss. He mentioned that Julian's forehead felt warm. His hand lingered there for a moment. He asked if Julian would mind another test. "I don't mind." Liam lowered his hand. He stepped closer to Julian and stood on his toes. He removed Julian's glasses. He pressed his forehead gently against Julian's. "You have a fever," Liam said softly. His breath ghosted across Julian's lips. He wondered if Julian had caught a cold. Julian asked if he was sure about the fever. "Let me double-check." Liam pressed his cheek against Julian's right cheek. He noted that his face also felt hot. Julian turned his head slightly. He offered his left cheek for inspection. Liam pressed his lips together. He gently touched his cheek to Julian's other side. Both of their faces felt incredibly warm. It was hard to tell who actually had the fever. Julian did have a low-grade fever. A thermometer confirmed it a few minutes later. He had started feeling unwell back in Austin. Chicago's sudden cold snap had made it worse. The weather in Austin had also turned damp and chilly. Liam thought it was a mix of things. The travel and the weather had weakened him. Liam cleaned up his desk in the study. He decided to make Julian some hot tea. "We have fever reducers. I'll get them." Liam said he would also make him some tea. He thought Julian had just caught a chill. "Liam, I brought you a gift." Liam looked up at Julian. Julian's cheeks were slightly flushed. His eyes seemed a little unfocused. Liam smiled softly and asked what it was. Julian left the study for a moment. He returned holding a small gift bag. Liam took the bag from him. He pulled out a slim, elegant box. He lifted the lid to look inside. He saw a vintage fountain pen resting on velvet. A fountain pen? Liam carefully lifted the pen from the box. He had never used one like this before. He couldn't judge its quality, but he thought the silver filigree was beautiful. Julian confirmed that it was. He explained that such pens often carry meaning. Liam wasn't familiar with these customs. He asked Julian about the intricate pattern. "It signifies good fortune and success." Liam smiled at that. "I like that." He looked up at Julian. He thanked Professor Julian for the beautiful gift. He said he liked it very much. Liam put the gift away safely. He told Julian to go take a hot shower. He would bring him medicine afterward. After his shower, Julian took the medicine. He drank the hot tea and got into bed. The memory of their recent intense kiss lingered. The quiet intimacy of the bedroom felt different. A subtle tension now filled the space between them. They were lying together in the same bed. Julian's body temperature was higher than usual. Liam deliberately moved closer to him in the bed. He wanted to share his warmth. He asked softly if Julian felt unwell. Julian shook his head slightly. Liam said a night of rest should help. Julian was too tired to speak much. He gave a soft hum of agreement. The medicine was already making him drowsy. His eyelids felt heavy and sore. The fever's heat overshadowed his earlier excitement. If not for the fever, Liam would have noticed more. He would have seen Julian's continued lack of composure. "Good night, Liam." "Good night." The next morning, Liam woke up first. He instinctively reached out to feel Julian's forehead. Julian was sleeping peacefully beside him. His forehead was cool to the touch. Liam had a busy day ahead. He had a client appointment that morning. The booking had been made a long time ago. Liam made breakfast while Julian was still asleep. The medicine had made him sleep very deeply. Liam didn't wake him. He put a plate of breakfast in the warming oven. He left Julian a note and then left for work. The snow had stopped sometime during the night. The air in Chicago was crisp and clean. The temperature outside was freezing. But inside his studio it was warm and welcoming. Voices buzzed with excitement. People were discussing last night's first snow. "Morning, Liam." His colleagues greeted him warmly. Liam nodded to them and walked to his office. He had arrived earlier than usual. Mia, his assistant, bought him his usual coffee. She brought it into his office for him. Mia pushed the door open. Liam was closely examining the fountain pen from Julian. "What's that, Liam?" Mia placed the coffee on his desk. "Fountain pen. For holding." Liam ran his finger over the silver filigree. The more he looked at it, the more he liked it. It seemed Julian knew he appreciated thoughtful gifts. He bought him something with a perfect meaning. A small smile played on Liam's lips. He seemed to be in a very good mood. Mia asked with a grin if it was from the professor. "Yes. The craftsmanship is amazing. Very cool design." Mia glanced down at her phone. She reminded Liam about his 10 o'clock client. He had booked in November. His name was Alex. "I know." Around 9, Julian woke up. He was alone in the bed. He fumbled for his phone on the nightstand. He saw a new message from Liam. It said he had a client and went to the studio. Breakfast was in the warmer. He also reminded Julian to check his temperature. Liam must have left in a hurry that morning. While washing dishes, Julian noticed Liam's ring. It was sitting by the sink. Liam never wore his ring when he did messy work. He kept a small box by the sink for it. It was a rare day off for Julian. He decided to visit the tattoo studio. If Liam wasn't busy, they could have lunch. Julian went to the closet to choose an outfit. He looked through his wardrobe. He realized he didn't have many nice casual clothes. His clothes were mostly simple styles and muted colors. He changed into a dark sweater and slacks. He stared at his reflection for a moment. Then he walked into the study. Julian opened a drawer in his desk. He took out a pair of glasses he'd bought recently. They had a delicate silver chain attached. He took off his usual glasses. He put on the new pair with the chain. As he left, Julian picked up the ring by the sink. Liam's 10 o'clock client arrived a little early. Mia led the man into the main work area. This client had approved the design months ago. Someone else had viewed it on his behalf. The design was ready. He was here today to get the tattoo done. Liam, your client is here. Liam extinguished his cigarette in an ashtray. He looked up to see who it was. He saw a handsome young man with a tall build. Mr. Alex Thompson? That's me. The man walked further into the room. He looked at Liam with an expression of surprise. You're Liam? I am. Liam stood up from his desk. He selected Alex's design from a stack of papers. I didn't expect you to be so young. Alex walked up to Liam. His gaze was direct and appreciative. I'm not as young as you think. Liam handed him the design to review. He recalled that Alex's friend had come before. They had confirmed the design over a video call. Right? I was overseas. Just got back. Liam nodded. He said they could begin. He confirmed the tattoo was for Alex's side. That's right. Follow me. The design was a full-color piece. It was a fairly complex job. So Mia stayed in the room to assist. Liam traced the design onto transfer paper. Mia prepared the tattoo machine and other tools. The room was very warm. After tracing the design, Liam spoke to Alex. He told him to take off his shirt. Okay. Alex removed his sweater and undershirt. He stood there, bare-chested. He was tall and had a strong physique. His skin was a healthy tan color. He had well-defined abdominal muscles. Mia couldn't help but glance a few times. Liam put on a pair of latex gloves. He instructed Alex to lie face down on the table. Liam sprayed a generous amount of rubbing alcohol. He wiped the area firmly with a clean cloth. Then he applied a layer of transfer gel. He pressed the paper firmly onto Alex's skin. Liam used considerable pressure. He rubbed until the skin around the area was red. Alex, lying on the table, chuckled. He remarked on how strong Liam was. Does it hurt? Not at all. Go for it. I'm tough. Liam acknowledged this with a simple sound. We're just getting started. Liam didn't talk much while tattooing. This was true for simple and complex designs alike. It wasn't because he feared distraction. He just wasn't a very talkative person, especially with people he didn't know well. Most skilled tattoo artists chat with their clients. It helps distract them and ease their nerves. They usually only go silent for very intricate work. That kind of work requires intense concentration. Liam had been a tattoo artist for many years. He had met all kinds of clients. Some were completely silent from start to finish. Others groaned in pain but never stopped talking. Alex belonged to the talkative category, but he had a high tolerance for pain. As Liam worked, needle after needle pierced his skin. Alex didn't even flinch. He kept trying to talk to Liam. Liam would respond occasionally, but he was mostly silent. When the artist doesn't talk, the assistant steps in. Mia had a duty to keep the client comfortable. So while Liam worked quietly, Mia chatted with Alex. Alex was getting a white lioness on his side. The lioness was based on a real animal. Liam had drawn the design from a photo Alex provided. Although called a white lion, its fur was cream-colored. This color was tricky to mix correctly. Mia asked Alex if he was getting a lioness tattoo. Yeah. Isn't she beautiful? Mia smiled and replied that she couldn't tell yet. Liam had only done the outline so far. She asked why he chose to get a lioness. I just like her. She's my pet. My daughter. Mia's eyes widened. You have a pet lion? Alex grinned. He said he lived abroad where it was legal. He also had a pet wolf. Mia looked completely stunned. She swallowed hard and asked where that could be. Liam had been uninterested in their conversation, but hearing Alex had a pet lion piqued his interest. He looked up for a moment. You own a lion? His voice was raspy from not speaking. Alex was pleased to finally get his attention. He raised his eyebrows. Yeah. You saw her photo, right? Yes. She's very beautiful. I have other pictures, Alex offered. He scrolled through his phone's photo album. Let me show you. Liam glanced up at Alex's phone screen. Let me see too. Mia leaned in closer. Wow, she's gorgeous. Liam returned his focus to his work. He continued with the tattoo. The fine needles moved steadily over Alex's skin. Alex didn't seem to notice. He kept chatting happily with Mia. Julian walked into the studio, bringing a gust of cold air. Zhu, another artist, had just finished a client. He came out of his room wearing a mask. He took it off and greeted Julian. Professor Julian. Julian nodded at him. Zhu threw his mask in the trash. His eyes were drawn to Julian's new glasses. Julian looked different today. Professor, you got new glasses? Yes. Where's Liam? He's in the back with a client. Zhu led Julian toward the workroom. Before they reached the door, they heard laughter. The sound of cheerful conversation came from inside. Sounds like they're having fun. Zhu glanced at Julian and muttered to himself. Liam, is my laughing too loud? Hope it's not messing you up. A man's clear voice came from the room. At that moment, Julian and Zhu walked in. Alex and Mia both fell silent. They turned to look at the doorway. Liam lifted his head and glanced casually toward them. What's so funny? Zhu asked Mia with a smile. Wouldn't you like to know? Mia winked playfully. Her gaze was fixed on Julian's face. Professor Julian, you look very handsome today. Julian thanked her softly. His eyes met Liam's across the room. The buzz of the tattoo machine filled the space. Liam wore a mask, his expression unreadable. One hand rested on the client's bare skin. The other held the tattoo machine. Julian's gaze shifted to the client's face. The man was looking back at him. Julian's arrival had distracted Liam for a second. He was wearing the glasses with the chain. His usual scholarly air now had a hint of allure. His eyes were still as calm as ever. But Liam found the look incredibly sexy. Zhu pulled up a chair for Julian. Professor, have a seat here. Alex twisted his neck to look toward Julian. So, is this handsome guy here to supervise? Zhu chuckled. You could say that. Julian sat down and watched Liam work. Liam was usually silent when he tattooed. Julian didn't want to disturb him, but this particular client was very talkative. He was constantly trying to engage Liam. When Julian had first walked in, he saw it. The client was showing Liam his phone. Liam had been looking down with a faint smile. Liam, can I ask you a question? Alex suddenly said. Liam made a sound of acknowledgement. Are you seeing anyone? Liam didn't answer right away. Mia glanced nervously in Julian's direction. She thought this was a bold move, especially with Liam's husband right there. Liam? Alex prompted again. If you're single, could I get your number later? His intention was perfectly clear. Anyone could understand what he was implying. Mia felt extremely awkward, more so than Liam. She tried to subtly warn him. Sir. Alex didn't seem to notice the strange atmosphere. He found Liam very attractive. He had been drawn to him from the first moment. After talking for a bit, he was even more intrigued. Alex was immediately smitten with Liam. He was looking for a chance to get closer. He was a direct person who didn't like to beat around the bush. I'm married, Liam said. Alex was visibly taken aback. Liam suddenly turned off the machine. He told Alex they should take a break. He stood up and took a sip of water. He walked over to where Julian was sitting. He asked if Julian's fever was gone. It is. Did you eat the breakfast I left? I did. What brought you here? I came to have lunch with you. This is a color piece. It will take a while. Liam said he probably couldn't make it. How long? Maybe 5 or 6 hours. That is a long time. Julian glanced over at Alex. 5 or 6 more hours. Liam would be in physical contact with this man. A man who was clearly interested in him, even if it was through a layer of gloves. Liam looked at Julian. He noticed Julian's gaze was on his hands. What is it? Liam looked down at his own hands. Nothing. Julian stood up from his chair. I should go. I'll come back later. Liam seemed a bit surprised. Where are you going? A friend just asked me to lunch. I had initially declined. He added that they hadn't seen each other in a while. What are you having for lunch? I'll just grab something. Okay, I'm leaving now. Julian's visit was brief. He left as quickly as he arrived. Liam hadn't had enough time to admire the new glasses. He was gone just like that. Logically, Julian should have been upset. He should have been angry after hearing Alex's question. But his expression was completely calm. There was no sign of any emotional disturbance. Julian was always so rational that Liam couldn't read his mind. Julian waited in the reception area. A few minutes later, an SUV pulled up outside. I thought you said you were busy, Sean asked as soon as Julian got in the car. The lunch invitation was from his lawyer friend. This friend also knew Sean. The three of them had studied abroad together, though they attended different universities. I'm free now, Julian said flatly. Those are nice glasses. When did you get them? Julian had worn the glasses to please Liam. He didn't particularly like them himself. He found them fussy and unnecessary. With Liam not around, he had no desire to wear them. Julian took off the glasses. The chain hung around his neck. The glasses rested against his chest. Why'd you take them off? They look great on you, Sean teased. He said it gave him a dangerous intellectual vibe. They're too heavy. Sean was in the passenger seat. He caught a glimpse of Julian's face in the mirror. He sensed something was wrong. Jan, what's up? Julian looked at the rearview mirror. What do you mean? Look at your face. You look furious. Sean turned to their lawyer friend. Ethan, what do you think? Ethan glanced in the mirror and smiled. He does look pretty mad. There's nothing, Julian said, looking out the window. Are you going abroad for the holidays this year? Ethan asked Julian. He mentioned that Sean had invited him skiing, but Julian had not gone. I'm not going. I'm staying home. Sean added quietly, he has a husband to keep company. Ethan was stunned. Husband? So you didn't know he got married either? Married? Ethan's voice rose sharply. When did that happen? Julian glanced at Ethan's blurred face in the mirror. He told him to focus on driving. I am focused. When did you get married? He couldn't believe how sudden it was. 2 months ago. Man or woman? Sean burst out laughing. He reminded Ethan of Julian's coming out story. It had been a huge family drama. Ethan took a moment to process everything. He suggested Julian could bring his husband along. He said a holiday abroad would be nice. Could be like a honeymoon. He asked if they had gone on a honeymoon. Sean chuckled. He pointed out Julian didn't even have a wedding. So a honeymoon was unlikely. No wedding? Ethan thought for a moment and then commented. He said many people skip weddings now. He also found them to be a hassle, especially traditional ceremonies. He thought they were too orchestrated. Western ones weren't much better. Sean smiled in agreement. Julian asked Ethan where they were planning to go. New Zealand is the current plan. Okay, I'll ask him when I get home. At 3 in the afternoon, Liam finished his work. After Liam said he was married, Alex became quiet. He didn't make any more advances. The rest of the session was much less energetic. But after the tattoo was done, he tried one last time. He asked if the marriage was just an excuse. No. Alex stood bare-chested in front of Liam. Liam was applying a healing balm to his side. He instructed Alex not to shower that day. He also reminded him to apply the balm daily. Alex wasn't paying attention to the instructions. Liam's hand was on his skin. It was a professional, impersonal touch, but it still made Alex's head spin. On an impulse, Alex covered Liam's hand with his own. Liam's hand stilled, then he quickly pulled it away. He asked sharply what Alex was doing. Liam. Liam turned his head at the sound of his name. Julian had walked back into the room. He was holding an elegant-looking pastry box. Julian had said he would be back later. Liam had waited for a long time. He had thought Julian wasn't coming back. Julian pulled Liam to his side. He called out to the front of the studio. "Ju." "Yeah." Ju's voice answered. He came into the room. "What's up?" He asked if the professor had called him. "Yes." Julian's cold gaze fixed on Alex's face. He spoke to Ju. He asked if Ju could help the client. He needed the rest of the balm applied. "No problem at all." Ju took the balm from Liam. "I'll take it from here." Julian took a ring from his pocket. It was the one Liam had left by the sink. "Liam, you forgot your ring." Julian held the ring, his expression unreadable. He looked directly at Liam. Liam unconsciously licked his lips. Perhaps this is what Julian was like when he was upset. He didn't show his emotions on his face. If only he had looked angrier. Liam thought he might have enjoyed that. Alex's expression was one of pure shock. He watched as the man with the glasses took Liam's hand. He slid the ring onto Liam's fourth finger. "Liam." Julian's voice was even and calm. Liam responded with a quiet sound. "Do you remember what I told you at the beginning?" Liam looked at him, confused. This is not a marriage of convenience. He stated that during their marriage, Liam could not pursue others. "I didn't." Liam's heart soared, but he feigned indignation. "You're making baseless accusations. Pursuing others includes unnecessary physical contact." Julian's reasoning was sound. "That was for work. Some things don't have to be done by you." Julian handed him the pastry box. "I brought you a snack." Alex's situation was now extremely awkward. He was bold in his pursuit of what he wanted. But he wasn't shameless. He hadn't realized Liam was truly married. He certainly didn't know his husband was the supervisor. Alex hadn't even known Liam's orientation. But that was his personality. When he felt a connection, he acted on it. It had been a long time since he'd met someone like Liam, but it seemed he was already taken. He had arrived on the scene too late. What a shame. Ju wrapped Alex's side with plastic film. He was still shirtless. His movements were broad and uninhibited. He extended a hand toward Liam. "My apologies. I didn't realize you were married." He admitted that he had been out of line. Julian had just lectured Liam about physical contact. Liam interpreted this as avoiding overly familiar men. But it was rude not to accept an apology. The man was trying to make amends. Being petty would not look good. And Liam admired Alex's straightforward nature. Under Julian's watchful eye, Liam shook Alex's hand. Alex expressed his regret. He apologized for his forwardness. He thanked Liam for the excellent tattoo work. He said he loved the result. "You're welcome." A barely perceptible frown creased Julian's brow. His gaze shifted away from their joined hands. Suddenly, he felt a warm breath near his ear. Liam had turned and leaned in close to him. He whispered softly, "This doesn't count as unnecessary contact." Julian's eyes were still fixed on Alex. He heard Liam continue, "I will only develop feelings for you." He added this was true regardless of their marriage's status. Liam wasn't sure if his declaration was clear enough. It was his first real confession of love. even if the words were carefully chosen. Julian turned his head to look at Liam. Liam gently flicked the metal chain of Julian's glasses. He said the glasses were dangerously attractive. Alex couldn't watch anymore. He turned his back to them and asked Ju a question. "Hey man, can you get my clothes for me?" "Your clothes?" Ju looked around the room. He thought the young woman with short hair had taken them. He said she probably put them in an outside locker. He offered to go find her. "Okay, thanks." They couldn't continue their flirtation in front of Alex. Liam and Julian walked out of the workroom. "Are you done for the day?" Julian asked. "Not yet." Liam poured a glass of water. "I have one more small piece. So you can't have dinner with me either." "It's fine. It's a small one. It won't take long." He said he could finish at a normal time. Julian nodded. "Then I'll go home and cook." Liam choked on his water and then smiled. "Professor, are you sure about that? Would you prefer to eat out? I can book a table." "No, let's eat at home." Liam said he wanted to eat Julian's cooking. Julian chuckled. "All right." Mia brought Alex's clothes into the room. She couldn't help but comment. She asked Alex if he was embarrassed. She had tried to give him so many hints. Alex took his clothes and got dressed. He laughed. He said he had no idea Liam's husband was there. He felt like he had died of social anxiety. Mia found him quite amusing. "You're taking it well. What else can I do? Your boss has a handsome husband." He said it would be pathetic to keep trying. He thought their boss was incredibly handsome. Just his type. It was a shame he was married so young. Mia smiled. "How old do you think our boss is?" Alex narrowed his eyes. "The way you ask means he's not young." 30? 35. Alex was stunned for a second. He remarked on how young Liam looked. He had thought Liam was younger than him. "How old are you?" 25. "Well, you look older than our boss." Alex pulled on his jacket and complained with a smile. He asked what was wrong with this young lady. He said her words were not very kind. "I'm 26, actually, so she shouldn't have called him sir. And he should probably call her ma'am." "You look young too, ma'am." Mia laughed so hard her eyes nearly disappeared. After Julian left the studio, Liam received a call. It was from his hometown in rural Illinois. The caller was his aunt who lived there. Liam rarely went back home, but he sent his aunt money every year. She always called around this time. Every year she asked him to come home for Christmas. But Liam had only gone a few times. He didn't have strong ties to that place. He disliked being surrounded by unfamiliar relatives. He was used to being alone. He preferred spending the holidays by himself. His aunt was a good person, but not someone he felt particularly close to. Liam answered the phone. "Aunt May." "Liam, honey, what are you up to?" "Nothing much, just resting." Liam wanted to avoid her usual roundabout questions. He decided to be direct. He asked if she was calling about Christmas again. His aunt laughed. "You know me so well. I won't beat around the bush." "Aunt May, I can't this year." "You say that every year." Liam had a valid reason this time. He lowered his voice. "Aunt May, I got married." The line went silent. After a long pause, his aunt's voice returned. She sounded completely incredulous. "Liam, what did you just say?" "I'm married, Aunt May. I'll probably spend Christmas at his family's." His aunt knew about his sexuality. She also knew he had been single for many years. "When did you get married? Why didn't you tell me?" Her tone was accusatory. There was a hint of anger beneath the surface. "Not long ago. Just over 2 months." Liam, are you trying to give me a heart attack?" She said she asks him to visit every year and he refuses. She doesn't force him. But now he didn't even tell her he was married. Liam pursed his lips, feeling a little guilty. I haven't had a chance to tell you yet. Nonsense. 2 months is plenty of time. Do you think I'm a fool? His aunt was genuinely upset. Her loud voice carried a trace of sadness. You didn't even invite me to the wedding. Liam found a way to soothe her. He quickly said they didn't have a wedding. No wedding? What happened? Why no wedding? Her focus shifted immediately. Who did you marry? What does he do? She asked about his financial situation. She wanted to know if he was good enough for Liam. She fired off a series of questions. Liam felt dizzy listening to her. He said it was one of his high school classmates. Why didn't you have a wedding? She worried Liam had chosen someone with no money. His aunt was a country woman. She was straightforward and had a fiery temper. Liam pinched the bridge of his nose. He focused on the main point. He's not poor. Then what does he do? He's a teacher. Liam worried she would ask more questions. He quickly added a university professor. Professor? His aunt's voice was suddenly filled with delight. Her tone lifted at the end of the word. Liam, you married a professor? Yes. What does he look like? How old is he? Then she remembered. Oh, you said high school classmate. She rambled on nonstop. Liam couldn't take much more. He glanced at his watch and made an excuse. Aunt May, I have to go home for dinner. Liam, you have to come here for Christmas this year. She insisted she had to meet the professor. She had never met one before. She said she needed to approve of him. Aunt May were already legally married. Liam couldn't help but laugh. He asked what she could possibly approve at this point. Well, you can still get a divorce. She quickly corrected herself. She said she didn't mean it like that. His family might have plans for the holiday. Then come after New Year's. Stay for a few days. Liam felt conflicted. Liam, this is the first time I'm insisting. Insisting. The word felt too strong. Liam's emotions were a tangled mess. He was silent for a moment before replying. I understand. Liam got home at 6. When he walked in, he saw a stranger in the living room. The person was carrying a backpack. They looked like a student. Julian was sitting on the sofa. His laptop was open on the coffee table. Hearing the door, both of them looked up. The young man with the backpack looked unsure, but he still gave Liam a polite nod. Liam nodded back. He walked into the room. Julian explained that this was his graduate student. Julian then introduced Liam to his student. He said this was his husband. The student was stunned for a moment. Then, without thinking, he blurted out, "Hello, Mrs. Julian." Liam's eye twitched. Julian turned his head and glanced at his student. Oh no, the student's ears turned bright red. He smiled sheepishly and looked at Julian for help. Professor, I don't know the proper term. He said he just called him that out of habit. There really wasn't a suitable title. Brother would be weird. Sir felt too formal. And Liam was Julian's partner, so being called that by his student wasn't entirely wrong. Hello, Liam responded naturally. Julian turned to Liam. He said dinner was in the warming drawer. He needed to help his student with a paper. He told Liam to eat first. Liam asked the student if he had eaten. The student quickly replied that he had. He apologized for bothering them. Julian looked at his laptop and said nothing. He shook his head slightly. Liam went to the kitchen. He took out the dinner Julian had made. He sat at the dining table. Through the glass door, he could see the living room. A friend of Liam's brother was Julian's student. Before they were married, this was their only connection. If Liam and Julian had dated normally first, he might have learned more about Julian. He could have asked his brother's friend. He could have found out what Julian was like in class, or how he treated his students. Liam had never seen Julian in a teaching role. He suddenly felt curious. Was Julian as gentle and kind with his students? Or was he stricter? Julian was focused on the computer screen. His fingers moved across the trackpad. His lips moved as he spoke to his student. He was wearing the glasses with the chain. The metal chain swayed with his movements. It glinted under the lights. Liam didn't start eating. He wanted to wait for Julian. Thankfully, Julian finished soon. The student packed up his laptop. He waved toward the dining room in farewell. Liam waved back. Julian was tidying up papers on the coffee table. Liam walked out of the dining room. He commented that students were so hardworking, even during the winter break. He lives nearby. I bet Leo's family doesn't live close. Liam asked, trying to sound casual. But the question felt very deliberate. Julian chuckled softly. I don't know where he lives. Julian was bent over, the glasses chain dangling. Maybe the glasses really were a bit heavy. As Julian looked down, they slipped off his nose. They came to rest, suspended on his chest. Liam let out a small laugh. Julian looked up at him. Liam walked over to Julian. He picked up the glasses hanging on his chest. He gently placed them back on Julian's face. Through the clear lenses, Liam met Julian's eyes. He said the glasses seemed more for show. They weren't very practical. As he spoke, he intentionally brushed his fingers. He lightly hooked the chain on Julian's glasses. They stood face to face. They could feel each other's breath. Julian's breathing grew closer. Felt like he was about to kiss him. A soft click came from the entryway. Julian's mother's voice echoed into the living room. Who bought this painting by the door? It's lovely. Liam and Julian froze. They took a step back from each other. What a surprise. You're both home. Julian's mother smiled at them. Liam, what's wrong? Your neck is so red. Liam cleared his throat. An allergic reaction. An allergy. His mother came closer. What did you eat? She asked if they had any allergy medicine. Liam felt a little embarrassed. It's fine. It will go away soon. Let me see. She went behind Liam to check his neck. There was a large red patch, but it didn't look like a rash. She wasn't naive. She saw how close they were standing when she arrived. Of course, she could guess what had happened. It seemed they were making some progress. She smiled to herself but kept her face neutral. She gently patted Liam's neck. She spoke with mock seriousness. It looks pretty bad. Your neck is so warm too. Mom, it's really nothing. Liam took a step forward to escape her scrutiny. He moved too quickly and almost bumped into Julian. Julian steadied him, pulling him to his side. He shielded him from his mother's gaze. His mother looked up at Julian, slightly surprised. When did you get new glasses? I didn't. Just wearing these for fun. You should change them. You've had the old pair for years. She added that this new pair looked good. Any change in Julian's life made his mother happy. She had always found her son to be a cold person. His only emotional outburst was when he came out. Even then, he had been calm and detached. But she knew it was the first time he'd been truly himself. He had been so young then, in his early 20s, about to study abroad. His sudden announcement had been a shock. His father thought he was eloping, not studying. Julian hadn't run off with a man, but he had received a slap from his father. Anger often leads to such actions, and Julian had chosen the worst possible time. The social climate was not as open as it is now. A cousin in their family was also gay. This had caused many fights in his family. After some unknown event, he locked himself in his room. He quietly took his own life. He was taken to the hospital where Julian's father worked. His father had seen the boy's final moments. The news had spread through the family. Julian came out right after that tragedy. More than a decade had passed. Now Julian had surprised them again. His decision to marry was as sudden as his coming out. Thankfully, this time it was a happy surprise. "When did you buy the painting by the door?" She thought it was very nice. "Liam painted it," Julian said. "You painted it?" She looked at Liam. "It's beautiful." Liam explained he had just painted it casually. It was to decorate the apartment. "It's lovely." His mother's gaze drifted upward. She noticed a photograph on the wall behind the TV. The wall itself had been redesigned. It complemented the photo perfectly. She stared at the photo in astonishment. "Oh my goodness," she murmured. "Julian, is this your wedding photo?" "Yes." "When did you start smoking?" She fretted that his father would be furious if he saw. It was just for the photo. Even so, why this picture of all of them? She thought he could have chosen a different one. "This one is beautiful." His mother sighed. "It's beautiful, yes, but who takes wedding photos like this?" "We do." She gave him a look, then turned to Liam. "Are there other photos?" She wanted to see them. She had meant to visit sooner. "Yes, I'll get the album." She stopped him. "Later. Have you two eaten yet?" "We were about to." She followed them to the dining room. She looked at the simple meal on the table. She commented with disdain that Julian must have cooked. She said the food was barely edible. She told Liam he was suffering. Julian sat down. "I've been eating this for over a decade. Who lives like a monk like you do?" She asked if he couldn't tell it wasn't good. Julian frowned. "I don't know how to cook." "It's fine. At least it's cooked through," Liam said with a smile, trying to smooth things over. But his words weren't very comforting. His mother had come to bring them food. She had brought many homemade side dishes. She took them out of insulated containers. She arranged them on the table. After setting the table, she stood up. She said they should start eating. She was going to the restroom. Julian watched his mother leave. He asked Liam if they should change the door code. Liam didn't understand. The keypad lock. "I don't think so. I'm afraid she'll be upset." He thought an older person might overthink it. Julian was quiet for a moment. Then he asked casually, "Today it was an allergy. What about next time?" Liam stared at the food on his plate. He nonchalantly picked up some vegetables. A small smile touched his lips. "It was an allergy. You said it yourself. You're the allergen." Julian looked down and smiled faintly. He thought his mother was probably here to check on them. Liam looked up. His gaze lingered on Julian's thin lips. His mother did seem to be checking on them. She had almost walked in on their spontaneous moment. Julian had been about to kiss him, right? He definitely wanted to kiss Julian. Julian's guess was correct. His mother was indeed checking on them. After washing her hands, she went to the guest room. She quietly opened the door a crack. She peeked inside. Liam and Julian had only recently started sharing a bed. Julian's bedding was still in the guest room. Now his mother misunderstood. She thought they were still sleeping separately. She had been so happy. Now she was disappointed again. Nagging them about it was pointless. She didn't want to keep telling them to sleep together. You can't force things. She realized her earlier assumption was wrong. She sighed softly. She closed the guest room door. She didn't show her disappointment at the dinner table. She didn't want to interfere too much in Julian's marriage. After dinner, Liam showed her the wedding photos. She had never seen photos like these before. She couldn't say if they were good or bad. She just said they were creative. Liam guessed she probably didn't approve of the style. She stayed for a little while and then left. As she got into the elevator, her husband called. He asked where she was. "I was at Julian's. I'm on my way home. Do you need me to pick you up?" "No need." She pressed the button for the ground floor. "I drove myself." "Henry, what is it?" She sighed. Your son is making me worry. What did he do now? He and Liam are still sleeping in separate rooms. She had thought they were sleeping together by now. How can they sleep together if they don't like each other? Her husband said dismissively, I shouldn't have let him get married so easily. He said their son was always impulsive. She disagreed with that statement. Only once or twice, and each time it was a major life decision. She had no reply to that, but she believed Julian's decisions were well considered. He was far more rational than they thought. Well, the marriage is done now. He said that whether they had feelings or not was irrelevant. A respectful relationship was a good outcome. Good? I don't think so at all. Her husband's voice was serious. Do you want him to spend his life with someone he doesn't love? He asked if that was fair to Liam. He thought they should just get a divorce. She frowned. You're being too extreme. Liam has eaten with us a few times. He's always so reserved. He added that Liam seemed uncomfortable at family gatherings. He just married Julian. He doesn't know our family well. She argued that he needed time to adjust. I think he can only adjust to Julian. Her husband seemed to see things very clearly. When Julian wasn't there, he closed himself off. You've only met him a few times, it doesn't take much to see it. Her husband interrupted her. Do you think Julian can't see it? She hesitated. Helen, have you ever thought about this? If Julian has no feelings for Liam, this marriage is an invisible burden for Liam. I just don't understand why he married Julian. Then he must like Julian. Her husband snorted. You have a lot of confidence in your son. She retorted with a laugh. You're never satisfied with your son. Come home soon. I made you soup. It's still warm. I know. Liam and Julian were watching TV in the living room. Liam stared at the photo on the wall. He asked Julian if they should take it down. No need. I'm afraid your dad will get angry. It's our wedding photo. We don't need to care what he thinks. Julian was typing on his phone. He seemed to be chatting with someone. Liam turned his attention back to the TV. He didn't say anything else. Julian glanced over at Liam. His mother was gone. Maybe they could resume what they were doing earlier. But Liam seemed completely absorbed in the show. He didn't know how to bring it up. Messages were flooding a group chat on his phone. They were all discussing a New Zealand trip. The conversation was lively and excited. Julian rarely participated in this group chat. His brief message had triggered a flood of replies. He was having trouble keeping up. Julian rarely spent so much time on his phone. Liam was a little curious. He wondered who Julian was chatting with so intently. Professor Julian. Liam called out to him. A stream of congratulations filled the group chat. They were all for Julian's recent marriage. Julian typed thanks and was about to send it. Yes? He turned his head. Liam licked his lips. It was a subconscious habit when he was thinking. Would you be willing to visit my hometown? In Illinois? Liam turned his head. You know? I know. Yes. Liam nodded. I want to go back for a few days after New Year's. He wanted to see his aunt. He asked if Julian would like to go. They might stay for a few days. Without hesitation, Julian agreed. Okay. After saying that, he went back to his phone. Liam finally couldn't help but ask, who are you chatting with? Friends from a group chat. Liam made a soft sound of understanding. He figured Julian must have many friends. It was just that he rarely used his phone. He wasn't attached to his device. He also seldom chatted with Liam online. The task from his aunt was now taken care of. A weight was lifted from Liam's shoulders. He decided to go take a shower. As he stood up, he saw Julian was still focused on his phone. He suddenly realized Julian's world was much larger than him, contained many other people, just like his brother's world. It included more than just him. He had adoptive parents who were closer than blood. Liam wasn't always the most needed person. I'm gonna take a shower. Okay. Shortly after Liam left, Julian made a call. Ethan, I'm not going to New Zealand, but you just agreed in the group chat. Why the sudden change of plans? Ethan said everyone was looking forward to meeting his husband. I'm going with my husband to his hometown. All right then. Your husband is the priority, Ethan said with a laugh. He suggested they get together after the holidays. He mentioned how their friends were reacting. They were all surprised by Julian's marriage news. We're having dinner right now. Want a video chat? You guys have fun. No need to call me. You missed the last ski trip. Everyone was complaining. He explained they wanted to see him. While they were talking, another call came in. It was a video call from someone else. They must have overheard the conversation. They called immediately. Julian answered the call. Sean's slightly flushed face appeared on the screen. Good evening, Professor Jan. Have you been drinking? Julian asked, looking at the screen. Of course not. I'm just representing the people. He said everyone had hoped to see Julian tonight, but Julian had to have dinner with his husband. Sean turned the camera around the table. He showed everyone else there. He finally stopped on a man named Miles. See this friend here? Professor Jan, he's been sulking all night because you're not here. The man in the camera frame was lifting his glass. He looked up at the camera. He gave a cool, indifferent glance. Miles reached out his hand. He gestured for Sean to give him the phone. Sean handed it over. Miles took the phone in one hand. He held a wine glass in the other. It was filled with brightly colored juice. Congratulations on your marriage. Miles raised his glass to the camera. Thank you. Miles was one of Julian's closest friends. They had been classmates at the same university. Though they had different majors, they were roommates. Miles came from a very wealthy family. He was a true heir to a fortune, but he didn't return home to take over the family business. He stayed abroad for further studies. Like Julian, he was also a university professor, but he had more titles than Julian. Miles was a typical academic enthusiast. He had majored in multiple fields. He earned a doctorate in each one. Are you back in the country? Julian asked. Yes, back for the holidays. Although Miles lived abroad, he kept in touch with Julian. Their professional fields overlapped. They had a lot in common. But Miles had the proud air of a wealthy scion. He was always independent and somewhat arrogant, perhaps because of his personality. He, like Julian, had been single for many years. Now Julian was no longer single. He had suddenly become a married man, leaving Miles as the only unmarried one among them. Miles took a sip of his juice. He said he heard Julian's husband was a high school classmate. That's right. He's very handsome. Julian smiled. He is. Sean described him as breathtakingly handsome. Miles looked over at Sean. Was that an exaggeration? No, it wasn't, Julian said. Sean protested loudly. I wasn't exaggerating at all. He told Miles he should see him in person. He said he was truly handsome. He hadn't noticed it as much in high school. He found that strange. He thought he understood why Julian was single for so long. With such high standards, who could he possibly be interested in? Miles looked back at the screen. Introduce us sometime. Okay. I thought you would get married later than me, Miles said. I remember you saying you had no plans to marry. A plan made at 30 expired at 35. Miles showed a rare smile. For your husband? Yes. He must be exceptional. What does he do for a living? Julian heard a click from the bathroom door. He looked up. Liam came out wearing a loose-fitting pajama set. He saw Julian on a video call. Liam paused for a moment. Miles saw Julian look up. He asked if that was his husband. Liam glanced at the phone in Julian's hand. He asked if Julian was on a video call. Julian confirmed. He heard Miles ask if he could see his husband. He said Sean's praise had made him very curious. Liam had just showered. His face was flushed and his hair was damp. He was wearing long-sleeved pajamas and pants. He was fully and decently covered. There was no reason for him not to be seen. Julian looked at Liam for a moment. He then looked down at the screen. He told Miles it wasn't a good time. Miles made a soft sound of disappointment. The background noise from the phone was loud. Liam couldn't hear what the person was saying. He could only tell it was a man's voice. "I'm hanging up now," Julian said to his phone. "Enjoy your dinner. Goodbye." "A friend?" Liam asked. "Yes." Julian's gaze shifted to Liam's hair. "Your hair isn't dry. It's fine. It will dry soon." Liam's hair had grown out a bit. He pushed his bangs back from his forehead. "You should go shower. I'm going to bed." The heating in the room was strong. Liam's hair dried quickly. He turned off the main light. He switched on a small night light. He got into bed and played a game on his phone. When not working, Liam's mind was focused on relaxing. He didn't want to do anything strenuous. He just wanted to do something that required no thought. A little while later, Julian opened the door. Liam was holding his phone, nearly asleep. He opened his eyes again at the sound. He was facing away from Julian. The dim light illuminated the back of his head. Liam didn't make a sound or move. From Julian's perspective, he looked asleep. Julian lifted the covers and slid into bed. He brought the fresh scent of shower gel with him. Liam kept his eyes closed. He heard a soft rustling sound from behind him. It was the sound of Julian picking up a book. Liam turned over. He was now facing Julian. Julian looked down at him. "You're not asleep? I was playing a game." Julian's habit of reading before bed was a good one. Liam used to read regularly as well, but his work schedule had become too demanding. He was often at the studio all day. He would come home exhausted and just want to sleep. He didn't have the energy to read. Now his work schedule was more flexible, but he had lost the habit. If not for the gap he felt between them, Liam might not have thought to pick it up again. "Professor Julian, can I read the books in your study?" Liam asked. "Of course." Liam propped himself up on the headboard. He looked at the book in Julian's hands. "Is it in English?" "Yes." There were some of Julian's other books on the nightstand. Liam glanced over at them. "Can I read that one?" Julian looked at the book on the table, then back at Liam. "Now? Can't I?" "It's not that." Julian reached over and picked up the book. "You worked all day. Aren't you tired?" He asked why Liam suddenly wanted to read. "I've always been ambitious." Julian smiled. Liam took the book from him. He flipped through a few pages. Reality hit him hard. He should have known he wouldn't be able to focus. This was a book Julian was reading, after all. Liam forced himself to read for a while, but he couldn't keep it up. His eyelids started to feel heavy. His body slowly slid down. He slipped back under the covers. Liam closed his eyes, half asleep. He murmured that he was going to sleep. His hand reached out from under the covers. He placed the book on the nightstand. As he pulled his hand back, Julian caught it. He held it firmly. Liam opened his eyes slightly, then closed them again. He was drowsy and disoriented. He tried to pull his hand away. He mumbled softly, "Honey, I'm not reading anymore. I'm so tired." He added that the book was impossible to read. He couldn't break free from Julian's grip. Julian tightened his hold on Liam's wrist. Liam opened his eyes fully. He looked at Julian with a sleepy gaze. The night light cast a soft glow. It turned Julian's dark hair a warm, golden color. "I want to sleep, honey," Liam said. His voice was low and husky. Every time Liam called him honey, Julian's grip tightened. Liam thought his wrist might break if he said it again. "Honey, you're very strong," Liam continued to tease. Julian finally spoke, his voice deep and rough. "Before we sleep, can we finish what was interrupted earlier?" "What was that?" Liam asked, feigning ignorance. "Kiss me." Liam made a soft sound of assent. Suddenly, the room was plunged into darkness. Julian had reached up and turned off the night light. In that moment of disorientation, Julian moved. His warm breath washed over Liam's face. Then he kissed the corner of his mouth. "Honey, you missed," Liam said, his words muffled. He tilted his head slightly. He brushed his lips against Julian's. He adjusted the angle. Then Julian's mouth fully covered his. Liam's playful teasing had worked. Julian's breathing became heavier. His kiss grew more intense. Julian seemed to be holding back. He kissed Liam until his lips ached. But he didn't try to go any deeper. Liam took the initiative and used his tongue. Their first real kiss had made his head spin. He loved that feeling. It was a mix of excitement and desire. It was both a psychological and physical pleasure. The heat under the covers began to rise. Julian's book had been left on the edge of the bed. It fell to the floor with a soft thud. The sound broke through Julian's haze of desire. He pulled away from Liam's lips. His breathing was heavy. The darkness gave Liam the courage to be so bold. Julian's fingers were at the back of his neck. He could imagine how red the skin was there. Julian knew Liam's honey was intentional. His hand moved downwards. He slipped it under the collar of Liam's shirt. He stopped at his shoulder blade. His fingertips traced the smooth skin. Julian pressed gently on Liam's exposed back. Liam let out a soft sound. He heard Julian's husky voice say, "You're so bad." Some things were best left where they were. Liam had only wanted a kiss. He didn't have any other intentions. Of course, using his tongue was spontaneous. He had just remembered their previous deep kiss. He wanted to experience it again. Julian's grip was very strong. His palm pressed hard against Liam's back. It was a mixture of pain and pleasure. And after all that, he called him bad. Liam thought to himself that Julian was the bad one. They seemed to have a silent understanding. They both pulled back at the same time. Julian removed his hand from Liam's shirt. He turned over. He bent down to pick up the book from the floor. He placed it on the nightstand. Liam had become aroused, but he didn't want to seem too forward. He wasn't sure if Julian felt the same way. Julian was always so measured. He was skilled at seduction, but he was never inappropriate. Liam actually liked that about him. It was a dance of push and pull. They maintained a distance of mutual exploration. Marriage was more than just daily life. It was also about romance and passion. Liam needed both joy and atmosphere. Worried that Julian might notice something, Liam subtly shifted away from him. He pulled the covers up to his face. He said quietly, "I'm really tired, honey." Julian replied with a deep hum. "Good night. Good night." Liam had planned to go to his hometown with Julian after New Year's. But Julian received a notice from the university. He had to go on another overseas trip soon after the holidays. If they went to Illinois, then rushed back to Chicago for his flight, Julian's schedule would be too tight. They wouldn't be able to stay long anyway. Liam suggested they cancel the trip, but Julian said they could just go earlier. They could spend Christmas in Illinois. They told Julian's parents about the plan over dinner. This was their first Christmas together as a married couple. Not spending it with his parents made Liam feel bad. He couldn't bring himself to say it. Julian was the one who spoke up. I remember Julian's mother looked at Liam. "You said you have an aunt in the countryside?" Liam nodded. I was planning to go after New Year's, but Julian. His mother served him a small bowl of chicken soup. She said that was just how his university was. He was always busy with conferences and meetings. She suggested they go before the holidays instead. Liam accepted the soup. But then we can't spend Christmas with you. His mother laughed. It's fine. We have plenty of time in the future. She asked if this was the only Christmas they'd spend together. She said any year was a good year for Christmas. Their family wasn't strict about traditions. Lee, a family friend, raised her hand. She spoke with a playful formality. Auntie, uncle, in that case, I'd like to make a request too. Julian's father smiled faintly. What are you requesting now? I'm planning to go abroad for Christmas this year. Lee placed a piece of meat on each of their plates. So I can't spend the holiday with you. Liam glanced at Julian's parents. He was worried they would be upset. He and Julian were already leaving. Now Lee was going abroad too. The house would be empty for Christmas. But Julian's parents didn't seem to mind. They were very relaxed about it. Julian's father said, "Do as you please. The house will be just the two of you." Lee spoke in a pitiable tone in front of them. "It will be so lonely." Julian's mother laughed and scolded her. "Stop trying to get sympathy when you're getting your way." She said they would enjoy the peace and quiet. "Okay." Lee smiled. "Which country are you going to? Are you going with friends?" Julian's father asked. "Yes, with friends. We're going to Bali. Be safe. And remember to check in with us every day." "I will." Julian's mother asked Liam, "Will your brother go with you to Illinois this time?" Liam shook his head. "His parents probably won't agree." "You should still ask him," she said. She believed that blood ties were important. "I will," Liam promised. Julian ate his dinner quietly. His mother suddenly turned to him. "Remember to buy some gifts. I'll prepare some things too." She said they could take them all together. Lee chuckled. "Auntie, Julian is a grown man." She said he didn't need to be told these things. He already knew about proper etiquette. A grown man who just got married. She explained that there were many rules with elders, especially with Liam's aunt. Proper etiquette was essential. "You don't need to prepare too much," Julian said. He was worried they couldn't carry it all. His father glanced at him. "You're a tall man. What can't you carry?" Liam let out a soft laugh. "I'm tall, but I don't have 8 arms." Julian's gaze flickered toward Liam. Liam was looking down, smiling. His eyelashes fluttered gently. While washing dishes after dinner, Liam stood behind Julian. He leaned over his shoulder. His breath warmed Julian's neck as he spoke. "Professor, are you really that tall?" Julian was drying a dish. He felt a tickle on his neck. He could also smell Liam's faint, clean scent. He didn't turn around, just hummed in agreement. "Your dad remembers so clearly. He took me for a physical before I studied abroad." Julian paused, then added with a touch of bravado, "I've grown since then." Liam chuckled. "You mean you grew taller while you were studying abroad?" Julian finally turned his head to look at him. "Don't I look like it?" Julian was indeed very tall. Liam wasn't short, but Julian was taller by half a head. If he wanted to kiss him, he would probably have to stand on his toes. Liam deliberately shook his head. "No." A smile touched Julian's eyes. He lowered his head. He gently bumped the tip of his nose against Liam's. Julian spoke in a playful, triumphant tone. "You can't do this." Liam's neck flushed red. He had lost this round. Liam asked his brother later. His brother had wanted to go. But when he heard Julian was going too, he immediately changed his mind. He said he didn't want to be a third wheel. "What third wheel?" "It's my aunt's house. There would be no private time." His brother laughed mischievously. "Bro, sounds like you're not too happy about it." You should be spending time alone with the professor. He said that would be all private time. So you're really not going? He asked if his parents had objected. I would go even if they did. If you asked me to, I would do anything. His brother said seriously. This time it's really my own decision. He said he didn't want to be the third person. Liam had just gotten married. He should spend more time alone with the professor. He didn't want to get in the way. Besides, his aunt didn't invite him. They weren't very close anyway. Bro, you're the only one who sends her money every year. We don't owe her anything. She never helped you when you were struggling. His brother let his true feelings slip out. He was much younger than Liam. Liam had visited his hometown a few times as a child. But by the time his brother was born, his mother had cut all ties with her family. So his brother had never been there. His relationship with those relatives was distant. Times were tough for everyone back then. His aunt's family wasn't well off either. They could barely make ends meet. Anyway, you're my only brother. Then I'll go by myself. Okay, have a great time. Julian and Liam left on the morning of Christmas Eve. They were taking a flight. They would arrive in the afternoon. They had chosen the gifts together. Julian's mother had also prepared some things. They were all small and easy to carry. They didn't end up with much luggage. They checked their bags. Julian and Liam boarded the plane. They were flying in business class. After they settled in their seats, Julian took a book out of his bag. Liam was sitting by the window. He glanced at him. Reading as soon as you get on the plane? It's a habit. Julian placed the book on the small table. I also brought the book you were looking at. Liam shook his head. Bear me. I really can't get into it. He admitted he hadn't read a book in a long time. His reading comprehension had declined. That book is a bit dense. Do you have any easier books? Like classics? I do. I'll find one for you when we get back. Liam. Yes? I remember you were a great student in high school. Yes, Liam smiled. My English was bad. I was unbalanced. My math scores pulled my average up. Liam took an eye mask out of his bag. He said nonchalantly, good grades were 20 years ago. He confessed he truly couldn't understand Julian's books. Julian frowned. Liam, I didn't mean it like that. I know. I didn't mean it like that either. Liam pursed his lips. I was just saying. Don't overthink it. Liam placed the eye mask on his forehead. He held the edge of it and looked at Julian. His beautiful eyes blinked a few times. I'm gonna take a nap. I didn't sleep well last night. Okay. Liam pulled the eye mask down, covered his eyes. He leaned back in his seat. Julian watched him for a moment. Then he turned away. He picked up his book. Just as Liam was about to fall asleep, he heard a woman's voice nearby. Came from behind him. Excuse me. Julian turned his head to look. A female passenger in the seat behind him smiled. She looked a little shy. Julian lowered his voice. Can I help you? The young woman bit her lip. Her big eyes flickered around nervously. Julian waited patiently. He saw her friend gently nudge her. The friend whispered something to her. The woman finally looked at Julian directly. Her ears were a little red. She asked softly if she could have his number. It was a very direct approach. Despite her shy demeanor, Liam was wearing his eye mask, his head tilted. His lips moved slightly. He had woken up the moment he heard her question. I'm sorry, Julian declined politely. Oh, it's okay, it's okay. The woman was blushing furiously. She turned to look at her friend. Her cheeks were puffed out. Her friend was much bolder than her. She leaned over the seat and spoke to Julian. Hey, are you single? She said if he was, maybe he could share his number. She started to say something about fate. I'm not single, Julian interrupted. I'm married. The woman let out a small ah. She quickly apologized for being forward. The two young women quickly retreated back into their seats. When Julian turned back around, he noticed Liam's posture had changed. His arms were crossed over his chest. The corners of his mouth were turned down. Julian didn't say anything. He held his book in one hand. He leaned over toward Liam. He kissed him lightly on the lips. Liam's body stiffened. He heard a stifled gasp from behind him. It was mixed with whispered exclamations of surprise. Julian sat up straight. He looked down and continued to read his book. The women behind them were whispering excitedly. Both of their faces were bright red. Liam still had his arms crossed, but the corners of his mouth had changed. They were now turned up in a slight smile. Liam's cousin picked them up from the airport. He was his aunt's eldest son. Liam hadn't been back in years. He almost didn't recognize him. They wandered around the airport for a while. They finally found his cousin, Dave. Dave spotted Liam right away. He hurried over to help with their luggage. Liam. Liam paused, then greeted him. Dave. Dave smiled. What's with the long face? Didn't you recognize me? Yeah. It's been a long time. More than a few years. It's been almost 10. He said his daughter was almost done with elementary school. Dave had dark skin and a bright, white smile. You haven't changed a bit all these years. He said Liam still looked the same. He joked that being unmarried was good for looking young. Dave paused, then laughed sheepishly. Oops, I forgot you just got married. He looked at Julian and extended his hand. Hello, I'm Liam's cousin, Dave. Julian shook his hand. Hello, Julian. So I should call you my brother-in-law, right? Dave's laughter was loud and hearty. My family lives out in the country, far from the airport. He explained that the elders couldn't make the trip, so he was the only one there to pick them up. He hoped they didn't mind. Dave drove a minivan. They loaded their luggage into the back. Liam sat in the passenger seat. Julian sat in the back. Dave was only a few years older than Liam, but Liam and Julian looked much younger than him. They seemed to be from a different generation. After they got in the car, Dave's eyes kept drifting to the rearview mirror. He openly looked at Julian. Dave was a straightforward person. He asked what was on his mind. So, are you the same age as Liam? Or older? The same. You city folks look so young. He noted that Liam was only 2 years younger than him, but they looked like they were from different age groups. Liam stared out the window at the passing scenery. He murmured that so much had changed. Dave replied, of course. The country is developing. Dave drove for nearly an hour. The scenery changed from tall buildings to rice paddies. The area had developed rapidly in recent years. The country roads were now paved and wide. Liam remembered the roads from his childhood. They had been bumpy dirt paths. Night fell. The minivan entered a familiar village. After a few turns, they arrived at their destination. The houses in the countryside were large. Most were self-built. Liam's aunt's house was a standalone building. It had an iron fence and a warehouse on the side. Dave drove the minivan into the yard. He opened the door and got out. We're here. You must be tired after the long trip. Dave, thank you for picking us up, Liam said politely. Hey, just call me Dave like you used to. He said being called cousin felt strange. Liam took the suitcases out of the trunk. He glanced toward the front of the house. He said it looked like a lot of people were there. They're just neighbors visiting after dinner. Julian and Liam followed Dave with their suitcases. Julian walked beside Liam. He said quietly that the environment was nice. He thought his aunt's house was very large. Liam smiled. Country houses are all like this. He added that the decorations were a bit over the top. Should we get a house like this? Liam turned to look at him. A standalone house. Julian also turned his head to meet his gaze. We could have a yard. We could plant flowers in it. Can we? Why not? Julian looked at him. Would you like that? He said they could sell their other apartments. They could buy a new house. Of course, Liam would like that. He had always wanted a house with a garden. Liam thought for a moment. Okay. He hadn't really considered the logistics. Villas in Chicago were astronomically expensive. Even if they sold their other properties, they would probably still need more money. Their lifestyle might become less comfortable. But the idea of a house with a garden was too appealing. Living in such a house with Julian was his dream. Liam had always thought of Julian as rational and conservative. He was surprised Julian was the one to suggest it. Thinking back, Julian had initiated almost every step. From their decision to get married onwards. Julian was rational, but he wasn't conservative. He was very forward-thinking. Liam smiled for no apparent reason. I hope we don't go into debt after buying the house. Julian chuckled. It won't come to that. We have 4 properties. I don't want to sell the one we're living in now, Liam said. Then we won't. What are you two talking about? Dave turned his head back. I was wondering why you two went quiet. They caught up with him. Julian said they would look at houses when they got back. Liam replied, okay. A group of elderly people were gathered at the door. It was cold. There was a charcoal brazier in the yard. They were sitting on a long bench, chatting. Dave greeted all the elders loudly. Then he shouted into the house. Mom! Liam's here. All eyes turned to Liam and Julian. Several pairs of eyes examined them with curiosity. His aunt rushed out of the house. She stood at the door, staring at Liam for a moment. May, is that your nephew from the city? He's so handsome, someone said. Another person added that he looked just like his mother. His aunt looked at the person who spoke. She frowned. What do you mean just like? Is something wrong with your eyes? All right. You all should go home now. Don't crowd my doorway. She said she had guests to entertain. The crowd dispersed. It seemed this was the normal way of interacting here. No one took her blunt words to heart. They left, laughing and chatting. Aunt May, Liam said. His aunt stared at him, seemingly in a daze. After a moment, she replied, You're finally here. Julian also greeted her. Aunt May. Yes. She carefully studied Julian from head to toe. She couldn't hide the smile on her face. She nodded repeatedly. Perfect match. A young woman with a ponytail came out of the house. She looked at Liam, then at Julian. Mom. His aunt turned her head. Which one is Cousin Liam? This was Dave's younger sister. She was much younger than Dave. She had never met Liam. Her mother had wanted a daughter for a long time. She finally had her in her 40s. The one not wearing glasses. His aunt introduced her to Liam. This is your cousin, Clara. Clara adjusted her glasses. She said softly, Hello, Cousin Liam. Liam smiled slightly. Hello. His aunt then spoke to Clara again. This is your cousin's husband, Julian. She added that he was a university professor. She told Clara to call him Professor Julian. Julian's eyebrow twitched. Liam felt a throb in his temple. His aunt chattered on. She didn't seem to realize anything was wrong. But Clara heard the word husband. Her ears turned red. She whispered, Mom, what are you saying? What's wrong? His aunt looked at her. Nothing. Clara shook her head. Dave urged them inside. Come on, let's go in. It's freezing out here. He wondered why they were all standing there. Liam and Julian followed Dave into the house. Clara held her mother's arm. She whispered, Mom, that was too direct. She complained about her using the word husband. She said people usually say partner. Her mother patted her hand. It just slipped out. I wasn't thinking. She said she wasn't like Clara with her book smarts. She found those other terms too formal. She said she couldn't get used to them. His aunt asked Clara to show them to their room. Clara walked ahead of them. She mentioned that the guest room might be a bit small, but the bed was quite large. Her mom had prepared everything. Is there enough room? Liam asked. If not, we can stay at a hotel. It's enough. We have plenty of rooms. She explained her brother didn't live there. He had his own house with his wife. It was just her and her mom at home. Are we sharing a room? Yes, is there a problem? Clara asked, confused. Don't you share a room? We do, Liam said. Clara had never met Liam before. She didn't know her mother's nephew was so handsome. Of course, she hadn't expected his husband to be so good-looking either. Clara's personality was different from her mother's. She was quiet and calm. She was in her late teens and liked handsome men. But she was shy. She wanted to look more but didn't dare to be obvious. She blushed whenever Liam spoke to her. What grade are you in now? Liam asked. I'm a senior. So young. My mom was older when she had me. Clara pursed her lips. That's why I've never met you. I don't come back often. I know. Clara opened the door and flipped the light switch. The room was clean and tidy. Liam looked inside and was stunned. He was completely speechless. There was a double bed in the room. It was covered in red rose petals. The petals were arranged in the shape of a heart. There were more flowers on the nightstand. The dim light cast a warm glow on the bed. It looked like a room in a romantic hotel. Liam looked at Clara. Clara smiled helplessly. My mom's idea. Julian couldn't help but chuckle. I tried to talk her out of it, but she wouldn't listen. She said Liam hadn't had a wedding, so he probably missed out on this kind of thing. She explained that was just her mom's taste. Please try to understand, Cousin Liam. Clara also felt embarrassed. She wanted to leave the scene as quickly as possible. I'll go downstairs now. Come down for dinner later. Okay, this is too much. Liam looked at the bed full of petals. I thought I walked into a honeymoon suite. Have you been to one? I've seen pictures. Liam bent down and picked up a rose petal. He sniffed it. Your aunt really went all out. Julian avoided the rose petals on the bed. He sat down on a clear spot. You don't like it? Liam looked up at him and smiled. You like it? It's all right. Julian took off his glasses. He took out a cleaning cloth from his bag. He slowly wiped the lenses. It's quite romantic. He added that it was a bit unrefined. We can go to a real one next time, Liam said suddenly. Julian looked up at him. He held his glasses in his hand. Even though his vision was blurry without them, Liam instinctively looked away. I've never been. I'm curious. Julian put his glasses back on. He walked over to Liam. He leaned down and kissed his cheek. Okay, you've been kissing me a lot lately. Liam tilted his head up to look at him. I kiss you because I like you. Then kiss me again. Where? Kiss me somewhere you haven't kissed before. Julian gently cupped Liam's face in his hands. He placed a soft kiss on his forehead. Oh my! A sudden voice startled them both. Julian let go of Liam. He turned to look. His aunt was standing outside the door. She had a wide grin on her face. She was leaning against the doorframe, hesitating. Being caught in an intimate moment by an elder was awkward. They both felt embarrassed. His aunt didn't care about their embarrassment. She said something to make it even more awkward. You two should at least close the door. She said it wasn't her fault for seeing. She just happened to walk by. She was glad it was her and not Clara. That would have been really awkward. Liam thought being seen by her was awkward enough. His aunt walked into the room. "So?" She asked what they thought of the room she prepared. She had bought the roses from a flower shop. It had cost a lot of money. Julian said it was beautiful. He thanked her for her thoughtfulness. His aunt's smile widened. "I'm glad you like it." She had wanted to blow up some balloons too, but Clara said it wasn't eco-friendly, and it would take up too much space. So she decided against it. Liam couldn't help but whisper to Julian, "Thank goodness she didn't." Julian let out a short, quiet laugh. His aunt was still smiling broadly. "What secrets are you two whispering?" "We're saying how thoughtful you are," Julian said smoothly. "I don't believe you." She said it out loud, but she was clearly pleased. Her eyes were full of affection as she looked at Julian. Liam realized how good Julian was with elders. The professor's words were truly powerful. He could charm not only him, but also his elders. "Tonight is Christmas Eve. We're having stew," his aunt said. She hadn't prepared a big feast. "Just stew." "Stew?" Julian looked puzzled. "It's a kind of local tradition," Liam explained. "Like how some people eat certain things on holidays. Here, they eat a special kind of stew." Julian nodded. "Have you ever had it?" his aunt asked Julian with a smile. Julian said he hadn't had this kind before. He was used to a different type. "Then you should eat a lot tonight." She wanted him to try their local specialty. Julian smiled and agreed. "Liam, come to my room. I want to talk to you." "Okay." His aunt looked at Julian. "I'll return him to you shortly." Julian smiled. "All right," he said half-jokingly. "Please be as quick as you can." His aunt laughed heartily. I know." She walked out of the room. Liam followed her. He playfully wrinkled his nose at Julian. He made a cute face. Julian tilted his chin up. He raised his eyebrows at him. Liam hadn't been back to his hometown in over 10 years. Clara thought she had never met him. But Liam had met her when she was very young. She was only 3 or 4 at the time. She wouldn't remember. Liam was in his early 20s then. He was still very young. He had only stayed for a short time. After he left, he never came back. Liam didn't visit, but his aunt would sometimes come to Chicago to see him. She would also video call him occasionally. Years had passed. Liam had grown older. His aunt's hair had more and more gray. They didn't see each other often, but they weren't distant. They were close in heart. Ever since Liam told her he was married to a professor, she had called him frequently. She had memorized Julian's name. She didn't even need an introduction earlier. She had said his name without hesitation. But Liam had never sent her a photo of Julian. So today was the first time she saw him. "Sit down," his aunt pointed to the bed. Liam refused to sit. He explained he had been traveling all day. His pants were dirty. So particular, his aunt smiled. "Look at you all dressed up." She joked that Dave looked like a clay soldier next to him. Liam was amused. "What kind of comparison is that? If you don't want to sit on the bed, sit on the chair." Liam sat down in a rocking chair. His aunt closed the door and sat in front of him. She stared at him. Liam met her gaze. Her expression didn't change much, but her eyes were constantly shifting. After a long time, he heard her say in a deep voice, "This is so good. How is your health?" Liam asked, noticing her gray hair. "Do I sound like I'm in bad health?" Liam smiled. "No. Did your brother not come with you this time? He had other plans." "Don't lie to me. Did he not want to come?" "Yes." "Don't feel caught in the middle," his aunt said honestly. "My relationship with your brother was never that close. He's only met me a few times. We're hardly relatives anymore." "I don't feel awkward," Liam said. "That's good." His aunt patted his shoulder. "But your brother will always be your family. And so am I." Liam nodded. Liam, is your Julian really a university professor? Yes, why? He's not what I expected. How so? He's too handsome, like a movie star. His aunt was skeptical. You're not lying to me, are you? Liam couldn't help but laugh. Why would I lie to you? I don't want you to end up with someone poor. His aunt was blunt. Your mother ended up with a poor man. Her life was so hard. And in the end, it ended so tragically. He doesn't look poor, does he? Liam was still smiling. Humph. There are plenty of good-looking men with no money these days. She talked about young girls who fall for looks. She said they end up with useless men. She believed it was because they were young and naive. They couldn't see the truth. I'm not young anymore, Liam said. Do you think I'm some naive drama character? His aunt laughed. Naive, my foot. My Liam is the smartest. She said if he hadn't dropped out, he would have gone to a top university. She was a big-hearted woman. Her words had touched on several painful memories. They were not good memories. Liam was momentarily lost in thought, but he didn't dwell on it. Liam went along with her words. So you think I would choose a penniless fool? His aunt nodded with a serious expression. So Julian is really a professor at a university? Yes, Liam wanted to laugh. A poor man couldn't have his kind of presence. His aunt agreed. Educated people are different. She wondered how he became a professor at such a young age. She said people are just different. The Christmas Eve dinner was quiet. It was just his aunt, Dave's family, and Clara. His aunt hadn't prepared anything fancy. Just as she had said earlier, they only had stew. It was Julian's first time trying this kind of stew. It was hearty and flavorful. His aunt was generous with the ingredients. The stew was thick and full of meat. Julian's taste had been refined by Liam's cooking. Ordinary food no longer impressed him. His aunt had made a few different kinds of stew. Julian liked the beef and mushroom one the best. After dinner, his aunt went out to visit neighbors. She asked Liam and Julian if they wanted to go. Liam declined. He and Julian went back to their room. Clara didn't like visiting neighbors either. She went upstairs to her room. Luckily, the house was large. It had 3 floors with rooms on the 3rd floor. Liam and Julian were staying on the 3rd floor. They wouldn't run into Clara every time they left their room. She was a young woman, after all. Having 2 men in the house might be inconvenient. The house didn't have central heating. Julian wasn't used to the cold. Liam had gotten used to the warmth of Chicago winters. He wasn't used to it either. He turned on the space heater. Soon, the air felt dry. He kept licking his lips. Liam sat on the bed and sighed. I forgot to bring a humidifier. Julian asked him what to do with the rose petals. Liam glanced at them sideways. He said half-jokingly, we can use them for a foot soak. Julian chuckled. All right. He bent down to clear the petals off the bed. Liam quickly stopped him. He grabbed his wrist and laughed. I was kidding. He asked if Julian wanted to soak his own feet in them. Julian stopped and held his hand. Then what do you want to do? Liam licked his dry lips. He gently brushed his fingers against Julian's palm. He took his phone out of his pocket. Let me take a picture first. Then we'll clean them up. Liam took a few photos with his phone. He wanted to capture the memory for his aunt. Before the petals withered, Julian found a basin. He swept the petals into it. Liam lifted the duvet and shook it out. He felt much better looking at the clean bed. They had been traveling all day. They just wanted to lie down and rest. There was a bathroom on the 3rd floor. Liam showered first, followed by Julian. When Julian came into the room, Liam was watching a video on his tablet. Liam looked up. He noticed Julian's hair was still wet. Why didn't you dry your hair? I couldn't find the hairdryer. It's in the cabinet behind the mirror. Liam put down his tablet. He went to the bathroom to get the hairdryer for Julian. Julian was drying his hair in the bathroom. Liam leaned against the doorframe in his pajamas, watching him. After a while, the whirring sound stopped. Julian put down the hairdryer. He looked at Liam's reflection in the mirror. Julian's lips looked dry after his shower. Liam walked over to him. Julian turned around. He saw Liam staring at his face. "What is it?" Julian looked down at him. "Your lips are a little dry." Liam reached out and touched Julian's cheek. "Your face is dry too." "Professor Julian, want to use a face mask?" Julian smiled. "Where would we get a face mask?" "I brought some." Liam went back to the room. He returned a moment later with a mask. Liam's skin was smooth and fair. He took good care of himself. Good skin required maintenance. Julian couldn't help but pinch his cheek. He said quietly, "You're so vain." Liam smiled and tore open the mask package. "Are you using it or not?" He said if Julian didn't want it, he would use it. Julian agreed and turned his face toward him. There was a thin black hair tie by the sink. Liam picked it up and asked Julian to lower his head. "Let me tie your hair back so it doesn't get in the mask." Julian lowered his head. Liam gathered the hair on Julian's forehead. He tied it into a small top knot. Then he applied the mask to his face. It was Julian's first time using a face mask. Felt cool and refreshing. He opened his eyes and looked at himself in the mirror. He caught a blurry glimpse of Liam in the reflection. Liam was smiling at him. It was a subtle smile. He was thinking to himself how cute Julian looked. The guest room bed was a double, but it was smaller than the bed they usually slept in. They were both tall, so the bed felt cramped. The heater made the room very dry, so Liam turned it off before they went to sleep. The bedside lamp was on. Liam and Julian were lying on their sides, facing each other. "If we leave the heater on all night, we'll be completely dried out." Liam licked his lips as he spoke. He had been doing that all evening. His lips felt very dry. Liam thought he had made a funny joke. He expected Julian to laugh. But Julian's expression didn't change. He just looked at him. "Liam, your lips are very dry." "Yes, they are." Liam thought Julian might kiss him. His heart started to beat faster. He unconsciously licked the corner of his mouth. "I'm turning off the light," Julian said. "Okay." Julian lifted his arm. He turned off the bedside lamp. In the darkness, he kissed him without. He covered Liam's dry lips with his own moist ones. He had been doing this a lot lately. He no longer asked for permission. He would just kiss him directly. Liam didn't mind. In fact, he enjoyed it. It was a pure, wet kiss. Julian's lips were very soft. Julian pulled away from Liam's lips. He asked in a husky voice, "Are they still dry?" "A little." So Julian kissed him again. The bed in the guest room was not big enough, so they couldn't maintain their usual distance. They had to lie close together, arm to arm. Their body heat created a warm friction. The winter nights here were hard to bear. The climate was damp and cold without heating. The indoors felt even colder than the outdoors. Liam couldn't stand it. He still felt cold even under the covers. "Professor, are you asleep?" Liam's voice was very soft. "No. Are you cold?" Julian hummed in agreement. He reached out and pulled Liam into his arms. His hand rested on the back of Liam's neck. His lips brushed against his hair. They had never slept in such an intimate position before. Liam was enveloped in Julian's scent. He wrapped his arms around his firm waist. Liam and Julian were woken up at 6:30. The winter nights were long. The sky was just beginning to lighten. Older people don't sleep much. Country folks also wake up early. His aunt usually woke up at 5 to make breakfast. Breakfast was served at 6 sharp. Liam and Julian were already getting special treatment. She had waited an extra half hour to call them. Although Julian was a professor, he didn't usually wake up so early. And Liam was his own boss. His work schedule was flexible. He could go to work whenever he wanted. He usually slept in. They were both sound asleep. They were jolted awake by his aunt's loud calls. Julian opened his eyes slightly. He could faintly hear his aunt calling them for breakfast. His arm was numb. He turned his head and saw Liam nestled in his arms. Liam's brow was slightly furrowed. His aunt's loud voice came from downstairs again. Liam moved his head, his frown deepening. He snuggled closer into Julian's embrace. His face was buried in Julian's neck. He let out a soft, annoyed sound. Liam was very clingy when he was cold. Usually he slept very still. He rarely had physical contact with Julian. Last night, he had clung to Julian all night. He had even slipped his hand under Julian's shirt for warmth. He had been moving around restlessly. He had almost aroused Julian. Julian's hand was on Liam's lower back. He gently stroked his spine a few times. He wasn't fully awake either, so he closed his eyes again. Outside the door, hurried footsteps approached. The door was knocked on loudly. "Liam, time for breakfast. Hurry up." She warned that the food would get cold. Liam seemed to have a bit of morning grumpiness. He pressed his face harder into Julian's neck. He ignored his aunt's calls. "Knock, knock, knock." Julian answered in a hoarse voice. "We're coming, Aunt May." "Don't go back to sleep. Eat breakfast first." She said it was all ready and would get cold. She told them to eat and then go back to sleep. Julian gently squeezed the back of Liam's neck. "Time to get up for breakfast." Liam said stubbornly, "I don't want to." His breath tickled Julian's neck. His lips brushed against Julian's skin. Julian's neck felt tingly. "Your aunt will be back up here soon," Julian said. Liam sighed in defeat and slowly opened his eyes. "Did you sleep well last night?" Liam's voice was a bit hoarse. "Not really," Julian answered honestly. "The bed is a bit small." Liam's hand was resting on Julian's abs, through his shirt. He bent his legs slightly, then suddenly froze. Julian cleared his throat. He subtly turned over, releasing Liam. He lay flat on his back. The back of Liam's neck was red. After sharing a bed with Julian for so long, this was the first time this had happened. Maybe it had happened before and he just hadn't noticed. It was a normal physiological reaction after all. "I'm gonna wash my face." Liam sat up. He glanced at Julian. "Are you?" "I'll lie here for a bit," Julian finished his sentence. Liam nodded and got out of bed. He paused, then turned back and asked, "Did I sleep badly? Did I bother you?" He said the bed was a bit small. He suggested asking his aunt to prepare another room. They could sleep separately. "No need." Julian's voice was husky from sleep. Perhaps it was related to his current state. His voice was deep and magnetic. "The bed isn't small. And you didn't bother me." Liam noticed one of Julian's legs was slightly bent under the covers. It was a suggestive position. Then he heard Julian say, "I didn't sleep well last night because of this." Liam understood immediately, but he had been dead to the world last night. He had no idea he had been touching Julian under his shirt, so he didn't know the cause of Julian's reaction. Liam held the corner of the duvet. He knelt on the edge of the bed. He asked tentatively, "Did I take advantage of you last night?" Julian glanced at him. He wasn't wearing his glasses, perhaps due to his healthy lifestyle. His eyes didn't have the slight distortion common in glasses wearers. Without them, his eyes were clear and sharp. His handsome features were fully revealed. He looked less scholarly and more dashing. "Intimate contact within a marriage is not taking advantage," Julian said. "So I did." Liam didn't want to ask for details. If he knew the specifics, he might be the one needing to calm down. Liam got out of bed. He smiled ambiguously. "I'll be more careful next time." They lingered upstairs for a while. They didn't come down for breakfast until 7. His aunt scolded them for a while. She said they should know food gets cold quickly in winter. They could have eaten and then gone back to sleep. Liam cracked an egg on the table. "Once I'm awake, I can't fall back asleep. Where's Clara?" She already ate and went back to bed. Liam placed the peeled egg on Julian's plate. He heard his aunt say, "I'm going to the market later. Do you two want to come?" "Okay." Liam took a sip of porridge. "Is there a car here? I can drive you. Dave left the minivan here yesterday. We can use that." Liam agreed. "Is Clara coming with us?" "No, she has tutoring at 9. Tutoring on Christmas Eve? She's a senior. She has to study hard. She said the college entrance exams were coming up." She then looked at Julian. If only she were as successful as Julian. She said she would have no regrets in life. She asked if Julian had a PhD. Julian had just taken a bite of his egg. He confirmed that he did. "What do you teach?" "Criminal law." "So you teach law? Why didn't you become a lawyer?" Julian swallowed his food before answering. "It didn't suit me." Liam agreed. A teacher could balance law and compassion, but a lawyer couldn't. Julian was both proud and compassionate. A teacher seemed a better fit for him than a lawyer. After breakfast, they went to the town market. The market was bustling with people. His aunt skillfully navigated through the stalls. Most of the shoppers were elderly. It was rare to see well-dressed young men like them. So Julian and Liam attracted a lot of attention. Julian was tall. He stood out in the crowd like a crane among chickens. His aunt walked proudly with 2 handsome men. She carried her shopping basket through the crowd. Many of the vendors were old acquaintances. Everywhere she went, people greeted her. His aunt went to a stall and bought some pork ribs. The butcher was chopping the bones. He asked her who the 2 handsome men were. He said he knew her son didn't look like that. Liam and Julian were talking to each other. They stood in the noisy crowd. They were looking at each other, smiling. His aunt glanced back at them. She turned and said, "The one in the white coat is my nephew. He's from the city, right? So fashionable." The butcher asked with a smile. "And the tall one? Is he your nephew too?" "No, he's my nephew's." His aunt paused, choosing a more elegant term. "He's my nephew's husband." "Husband?" The butcher looked confused. Legally married. With a certificate. Liam and Julian finished their conversation and walked over. They noticed the butcher was looking at them strangely. His cleaver was stuck in the chopping block. His aunt called out to him loudly. She told him to hurry up. She still had other things to buy. The butcher came back to his senses. He looked at Liam and Julian, then at his aunt. He asked in the local dialect, "Are you saying they're a married couple?" Julian didn't understand, but Liam did. He glanced at the butcher, who was also looking at him. Can men really marry men now? The butcher packed the chopped bones into a bag. He handed it to his aunt. "I've never seen 2 men living together before." "How interesting. That's because you don't get out much." His aunt teased him without mercy. The government legalized it a few years ago. She said same-sex marriage was now legal. It was common in the city. The butcher nodded repeatedly and smiled. "I can't keep up with the times like you." He told her to take her purchase and come again. His aunt took the bones and paid. She walked away with her head held high. Julian asked Liam what they were talking about. "They said you were handsome," Liam said mischievously. Julian gently pinched his waist. Liam dodged to the side, clutching his waist and laughing. "What was that for?" His aunt turned around and called out to them. "What are you two doing? Don't get lost." She said she needed their help carrying things later. The two of them caught up with her. Liam said, "They were talking about us." The butcher said he'd never seen two married men. "Well, he has now," Julian said. Liam smiled and nodded. "Yes. Professor, will you go somewhere with me later?" Without hesitation, Julian said, "Of course. You don't even ask where. I'll go anywhere with you. I want to visit someone. I'm not sure if he's still there." "Who?" Liam thought for a moment. "You could call him my mentor. He's also a tattoo artist." After taking his aunt home, Liam drove the minivan. He and Julian went to the city. He hadn't been back in over a decade. The city's roads had changed completely. Liam wasn't sure if he could find the place. He entered the address he remembered into the GPS. The navigation led him to a familiar street. It was near the university campus. Around them, old buildings stood next to new ones. The area was a mix of student life and local businesses. He saw the small, unassuming storefront. It looked exactly as he remembered it. A simple sign hung above the door. It read ink and time. Liam parked the van across the street. He stared at the shop for a long time. A wave of nostalgia washed over him. This was where it all began. He learned everything he knew within those walls. Julian watched him, remaining silent. He gave Liam space to process his emotions. Finally, Liam turned to him. "Ready to meet the man who taught me how to draw on people?" Julian smiled. "Lead the way." They crossed the street and walked toward the shop. The bell above the door chimed as they entered. An older man sat behind the counter, sketching. He looked up, his eyes sharp and observant. He studied Liam's face for a long moment. A slow smile spread across his lips. "Well, look what the cat dragged in," he said, his voice a low, friendly growl. "It's been a long time, kid."